immediately for LNG. With Lee Sin taken off the board, that same matchup from game 2 cannot happen.
Yeah, and it's kind of a call out saying, hey, look, you can take this Renekton if you want, Flandre, but we have the Camille open. It does really well into it. Like the early stages, the Renekton does really well into the Camille. So if you take that Renekton now, LNG in a situation where the Camille, you can't really take that under your own belt. Yeah. Maybe you go towards something like the Jiejie to try and counteract it. Or that Kennen that we've been calling for quite a bit here for Ale can work wonders into it. But Jiejie gonna lock in this Diana for himself. We have seen this Diana Yasuo combo from Scout and playoffs as well. We might get to see it here again.
Certainly a possibility here is we actually saw Scout playing both Yasuo and Yone, the Wind Bros. I can't remember what they call. I'm not that good at the lore, okay, guys? I don't know why I brought it up. You just see Varus locked in with the side of Light. Incredibly strong, very consistent. They're looking to lock in their full bot lane.
Yeah, I personally like to call Yasuo and Yone the Y Bros, because every time I see them locked in, I just ask why. But LNG coming across over here, as you said, like, gonna take the Leona, it looks like here. I think you're trying to solidify a strong bot lane, but I think the biggest... Oh! Okay. So, I'm actually kind of surprised by this. So, usually when we see the Zac locked in, you need strong solo laners to allow that to happen. But you've got a Renekton locked in on the top side. If you take LeBlanc here or Syndra, you guarantee priority for yourself in that lane and open up the opportunity for Jiejie to try and go a bit more aggressive. Now, he is on the Diana, so it makes it a little bit more difficult for you to have these super aggressive lanes. Super aggressive invades, but still an opportunity here as we actually get the Aurelia locked in, so bypassing that entirely here.
Yeah, there's also another part of the discussion that you're missing out on slightly there. We've got 2 junglers locked in for LNG. Viego is not a laner that we've seen basically ever recently, ever since the nerfs.
Ale has played it topside. He actually played it in their second game of playoffs. So it looks like Ale will be taking that into the topside. So Ale's like the only person, I do agree with you, Munch. Ale's like the only person I've seen actually play this in a lane since the changes.
All right, well, Ale, I mean, he's definitely a player with personality, right? He's definitely a player that has his own style. And he's going to be bringing that to the top side as Tarzan, you'd expect, at least, will take the Zac to the jungle. Man's coming out. It is the LeBlanc targeted towards Icon there, as well as the Ezreal taken away from Viper. And one thing that we do have to quickly mention as well, Scout could take the Aurelia. We could also see the Renekton and the Aurelia switcherooed between top and mid lane. We'll have to wait and see. There's a lot to wait and see for in this draft, Dagda.
Yeah, you're kind of keeping your options open here as EDG, and I'm not sure what way it is going to go between the Aurelia and the Renekton, although as you can see, like with the LeBlanc band away and also having the Sylas band away, maybe it is looking at this already in that mid lane. Either way though, LNG are kind of banning away AD carries. I think the Ashe needs to be the next one here. We just saw how powerful Viper was into this exact matchup in the last game. And then you'll end up with a nice bot lane here, kind of by guarantee. But either way, I'm looking at EDG. Support needs to be your call here, because you can get whatever AD carry you want regardless. But getting this strong support matchup is going to mean so much more to you.
We'll have to wait and see what that's going to be. But obviously, the AD carry, you can go for whichever pick and have potentially the counter pick support, which is what EDG are thinking here, getting Meiko a counter pick for the lane. I'm just going to quickly mention, could be Zac support. We did see that once in playoffs. It didn't look good, but we saw it from, I think it was Suning, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, it was against LNG. I don't think it's going to happen, but I just thought I'd mention that. It's going to be Alistar.
I love Lwandy's Alistar. Like, I personally think it's one of his best roaming supports, and especially when you're in a matchup against the Kalista, if you can go for those plays, it's going to be great. It also kind of shuts down a lot of the picks that EDG want to go for, right? Because in theory, you want to go for like a Leona, who Alistar can kind of bop away. It makes things really difficult for the Kalista top right as well, because he's so short range, as well as Kennen. Kennen does a very similar thing where you've got an incredibly short range composition for EDG. You slot that Kennen into one of these roles and it makes it nigh impossible for EDG's composition to operate.
Certainly does. And Ale bringing the Kennen. It's been, I think, easily one of his most consistent picks that we've seen up in the top side. He's been happy to blind that time and time again. This time he doesn't have to blind it. Has a great matchup for himself. can have a huge impact on the game. EDG, though, they can look towards the Rakan that has been banned against them in this series previously. This is a very aggressive composition from EDG, especially when you hit level 6. This is a composition that only goes in one direction, Dagda, and that's in.
And I am a little bit worried about that. Like, you've got great peel coming through from the Kennen, from Lwandy on this Alistar. Is this going to be a mid lane cannon? I'm kind of down for it. It'll be like champion number 22 for Icon, but like either way, like you're just kind of matching the Renekton, but still like you're getting the same things here. Like super good peel, great team fighting on LNG's side. Like EDG need to run away with this early game quickly, or they just end up falling kind of at falling under the knife because you've got so much that can deal with it on LNG's side.
So, in terms of Kennen stats, Ale, 100% win rate. Only 3 KDA, but that doesn't matter. He's Kennen, right? You're about the team fights. Icon, I mean, 0% of everything, because he's not played it before. So, we'll see if shenanigans are afoot here. I do expect that to go to the top side, but we'll have to wait and see. Because, you know, I've seen it before, where you finish the draft and it looks like things are locked in a certain way, and then it's traded by the time you get on the Rift. It's going to be interesting. That's the key thing to take away here. LNG have their backs against the ropes as we move towards this one, Dagda. EDG 2-0, looking dominant in this series, looking like the second seed of the LPL. And LNG coming in as the challenger, and it is Icon taking the Kennen to the mid lane. I do not believe what I'm seeing here. Icon versus Scout, the veterans, and Icon throws a complete curveball.
I'm trying to remember the last time I saw Kennen mid, and it honestly might have been High. Like, I remember High played it, but he also played, like, Timo at the same stage, so it may not be the best place to try and draw information from, but still, like, I like it. I think it does well here, like, and Icon again, like, give credit to this dude, like, this is a 23rd unique pick. I don't know what the record is for the most played champions in a split, but having played 23 unique champions for a mid laner is kind of nuts for this split.
So, random point. Kennen mid has been played once this entire year globally by a Brazilian player called Kick. Not Kick as in the team, Kick as in a player. He played it mid. 100% win rate right now. Kennen mid globally.
Oh, it's busted. It's busted.
So, yeah, maybe the strongest champion in the game. We'll have to wait and see. I will say, like, I think we're getting a bit carried away with shenanigans here. It is actually an exceptionally strong pick into this composition from EDG, right? As you were saying in the draft, everyone wants to go in. Kennen's really good at those situations because he just presses R. Suddenly you're all stunned.
And it's good against this rally as well, right? Like, you still get the same strengths from it, as I can actually trade really effectively there in the mid lane. But the problem with Aurelia is that traditionally she wants to try and go for like these longer lanes in the top lane where she can chase the Kennen down and like actually get the kill. When you're playing in the mid lane like this, that shorter lane makes it a lot more difficult for Aurelia to have that same impact that you would expect in this matchup. So Icon now can actually get a ton of poke off. It's why he's gone this like summon Airy style as well. Just knowing, hey, look, I'm going to be free to keep hitting away at Scout and know that I can always just piece back to my turret if any sort of pressure arises.
Another knock up in the bottom side as the level 2 is hit by EDG every single time they go in. Lwandy is just playing bouncer. He's like, get out of here, Viper. You don't get to touch light today.
It's really funny to watch. It's just them going opposite directions. It's like ships in the night. Like, no, we just crossed by. No one says anything. We back away. Now, though, I want to see what happens.
That's
here,
not what that phrase means. Ships in the night is not. I punted you away. That's a totally different thing.
Let me roll it. Maybe they shot a cannon by accident. I don't know. Someone tripped with the match. But we're going down here with Icon, where he should be able to at least give a good amount of pressure towards Tarzan on towards the bottom side. Try and look for this early scuttle. The big problem is that the ship with the cannon from Viper and Meiko actually has pushed in quite well in that bottom side, and they can move up faster and help out Jiejie. So you're going to look at Tarzan kind of ceding control on this bottom side and moving back up towards the top lane.
I will say, LNG's ship has cannons of its own, because this lethality virus will very much be an artillery piece later on into the game. You like what I did there, Dagda? Definitely think that's going to be able to sit back in the later fights. Tarzan takes the top skull. Jiejie managed to get himself that bottom skull as we kind of finish off our first clears. The jungle's totally even, and honestly, this is kind of fine for both, right? Zac not exactly a duelist, and Diana doesn't want to fight until 6. She wants to get that ultimate first, so it feels like very neutral in the jungle matchup. I say that, we've got a gank on the top side, but Flandre just slides away from it. Tarzan will pull him back in. The flash already used here as Ali gets the stun down as well. Flandre's in trouble, but they won't chase for any more. They're happy to just get a summoner.
Yeah, and a good amount of damage on towards Flandre, kind of keeping him even in this matchup, because one of the big things that we saw was the nerf towards the healing for Viego, down to only 10% off the Q. It means that he's not going to have the same sort of impact in these lanes, so any sort of help that you can give towards Ale in these early stages, especially against the Renekton, is going to do a lot for this matchup.
Definitely feels that way, and I mean, here's the thing about Zac, right? You can be so proactive in terms of ganking in the game. When Renekton doesn't have a flash already, there's a lot of opportunities to make things happen up in the top side of the map. It's so easy to gank. And you can see Tarzan hasn't reset yet. He's just going to go for a path back down through his own jungle as Jiejie spotted up on the top side. Flandre won't find the opportunity onto Ale here. The wave looks like it won't quite crash, though. This is bad news for Ale. This is a really good position for Flandre to be in.
Yeah, and it means that you're very safe from any sort of ganks that Tarzan makes as well, right? So you need to try and get multiple people up towards his top side. Now, one of the things that we said a lot is that we expect LNG's mid laner Icon to have these roam plays, try and set up for some of these ganks. But on Kennen, you don't really have those options pre-6. You kind of want opportunities to get that Maelstrom down before looking for those plays. So at least for the moment, Ale's on his own.
So far, so good on the side of EDG's mid laner as well, because we talked about this Kennen versus Aurelia matchup, how many auto attacks Icon's going to be able to weave in and get that harass down. Well, Scout's gone for an early recall, but he's still even or ahead in CS ever so slightly. So doing a good job on this Aurelia so far. It's going to be the skirmishes and team fights where I think that matchup really becomes explosive. Same up in the top side, right? Flandre has been pushed in a lot, but still doing a very good job of maintaining his CS advantage. So very neutral early game here. It's once we get to these neutral objectives, Dagda, that I expect these teams will start to come alive.
But it becomes really difficult for EDG to come alive at that stage, right? Because when you think about, like, Scout, Jiejie, Flandre all want to, like, jump onto one person. You've even got Meiko, who's probably going to be the one who actually sets up that kind of play. Viper, super short range. That is great for people like Lwandy. He can get multi-man knockups. Icon, who can get these big maelstroms off. Even Tarzan, just having the let's bounce to disrupt that makes it really hard to actually find the fights that you're looking for. So as long as the LNG keep this game even, I prefer their composition at those 5v5s.
Certainly feels good for them. I will say, Viper is going to be the X factor here on whether or not he can find advantages. Icon's in trouble in the mid lane, slicing Maelstrom. The Moonfall dodged away from, and now his jungler comes in as well. Scout flashes the knock-up, though, and completely outplays LNG. And now Tarzan trying to escape through the river. Ale moves down to help his jungler, but EDG, they make it look easy.
Nicely done by EDG, and that's where you can actually try and make those plays onto Icon. We said, look, if Icon is running back towards his tower, he's got that safety, that shorter lane to work with, so Aurelia can't chase him down, but he overextended there, flashes towards his jungler, which actually gives the space for Scout and Jiejie to make this play happen. You get that Moonfall to set up just that nice bit of damage. Great stun from Scout, followed up by the flash, and they just pick him apart.
Scout just completely breaking LNG's ankles there. And I've just realized that this Zac, in theory, very, very good at ganking. But the thing is, look at the laners that you're up against. How do you ever land the knockup? Renekton just going to slice and dice it. Scout can just queue away at any given moment or flash it like we just saw. And Viper and Meiko, I mean, they're literally the most mobile bot lane duo that you could possibly pick.
And the thing is as well, the lanes haven't even been in favor of Tarzan to go for these. It's actually Lwandy.
Oh, Lwandy, that was too damn good. But Meiko doesn't care because he's Rakan. You can never kill Rakan, he's too damn slippery. And now the stack of the Rend will chunk out Lwandy as well. So EDG actually kind of winning out the 2v2 in the end.
Yeah, just able to get that repeat play back. But I wanted to go back to Tarzan hasn't really had a chance to go for ganks, right? Look, think about where the waves have been positioned. Scout under his tower, Flandre under his tower, and you haven't actually been able to set up any sort of gank opportunities. So now instead, they're looking for LNG to play through this top half, use the push that they had to get Rift Herald, but Icon hasn't got his Maelstrom up just yet.
Yeah, Jiejie is here. He does have Moonfall. Herald down to 1,300 HP. Tarzan's just looking to finish it off with a smite. Will be able to do so. Herald taken by LNG. Icon in trouble. Slicing Maelstrom comes out. It's going to be stunned onto one. Moonfall needs to come out ASAP. Damage across the team, but it's not going to be quite enough. Scout now trying to finish off Icon, but he doesn't have it himself. And it's a double kill as Ale is taking over the game. Flandre is in too deep. He's taken down for Ale's third. And suddenly, EDG late to the party and taken out anyway.
And that is a prime example of what we expect from LNG. Having Icon set up these plays with the Maelstrom, and there's little that the short range of EDG can do. Now they get the Rift Herald. 3 kills for this Viego. He is now massive. And I'm not going to lie, this is the exact same thing that happened the last time Ale picked this champion. He somehow managed to get 3 kills on a champion that no one wants to play in a bloody lane, and then he took over the game. He just makes this champion look OP in a lane.
And, I mean, we can take another look at what happened here, because it felt like Icon just not the target. The CC chain is too disgusting.
Yeah, and you can see again, right, what we're talking about. Icon and Lwandy. Icon sets up with the Maelstrom. You CC a couple of people. EDG try to mount an offense onto Icon just as you get that Maelstrom fading, and Lwandy's there with the double knock. It makes it so difficult for you to follow up. And Ale, he's just fine. He's like, cool, I'll heartbreak you here. I'll jump to here, get another kill. Thank you very much. Oh, I could do a dessert. I'll take a 3rd kill, no problem. And now, LNG, this is the early game that we want to see for them. This is what's been missing all series long. These early skirmishes where they can punish with these counter picks.
Oh, no! Oh, God. Scout and Meiko both just completely whiffed their ults. That was, that was something. That was definitely something, Dagda. I'm not, it happens. It happens to the best of us at the end of the day. I will say, though, Ale, not the only heartbreaker on the side of LNG so far this game, because sure, he's getting these ults and he's getting these kills off of. But Icon so far on the Kennen in that fight having a huge impact, and he's been a heartbreaker before. He's brought out the cosplays and then
he's a good-looking
kind of turning people down on the internet. It's definitely a player that has many facets to his gameplay. But one of those facets is the fact that he will pick almost anything in the mid lane, and we're seeing that pay dividends for LNG here.
It's just insane to me, like, how many champions that this guy has in his back pocket, and not only been able to, like, play them, but, like, bring them at a competitive level. It catches so many people, even like Scout, as you can see now, off guard is Tarzan. He's spotting a ward.
Flandre's stunned up here. In they go for a little bit more. Dominus was very late on that one, but it is in time at least to save him. Jiejie looking for the re-engage. I'm not sure he could 2v1 this one, though. Ale is terrifying. Already has that Divine Sunderer, but speaking of that, Jiejie does have his Proto Belt as well, or his Rocket Belt, sorry. So perhaps something can happen for EDG, but it looks like Flandre will be able to get back to his tower. Did lose 2 plates, but ultimately he's able to defend it. It's 1,000 gold in favor of LNG right now.
Scout had started to roam for the mid lane, so EDG feeling a little bit more confident going towards the push back, and it means that at least Flandre will get some of the wave. That was a pretty sizable wave that was lost, and you can see that reflected in the CS. Nearly 20 down as Tarzan, rinse and repeat here.
He's got the Herald and he needs to use it. He's running out of time, so tries to make a play towards the top side. Ale in trouble here, but Tarzan just bumps them together. Let's bounce, baby. Jiejie stuck under the tower alone as Lwandy arrives as well. Tarzan has to get that Herald down. It's running out of time on this one. As Scout has moved over as well. 3 men strong from EDG. Herald finally comes down. Lwandy trying to force Meiko away from this tower. And it looks like EDG at least will be able to keep the tower alive, but we'll certainly lose those players.
But look, I want to highlight the difference that we're seeing here because of the draft from LNG. Like, we talked about Tarzan looking for these counter picks so often when it comes towards the LNG draft. Like, this is where he gets to go and play. Hey, I can do what I want here. I can go towards this Zac because I'm not going to be pressured too much by Jiejie. And even we get Icon bringing it this Kennen as a counter pick to the double bruisers that we saw coming through on EDG's side. It's been so well executed by LNG, and they're reaping the rewards here. There's nothing Flandre can do because it's been set so far behind thanks to that early play. And Tarzan just putting the cherry on top with the kill there for himself.
I just think Zach's stretching strike is one of the funniest looking abilities in the entire game, where you literally just bonk the noggins together. I wish there was a coconut sound effect every single time he does it. It just makes me chuckle. I do want to quickly mention, though, because...
The pool party one with the coconut noise, missed opportunity if you don't have it.
I totally agree with you there, because I know I like pina coladas and getting drunk in the rain. No, that's not it. I don't know. I don't know the words to that song.
I mean, you just like getting drunk wherever, but we'll move quickly onwards.
Rain or... I mean, I have to like getting drunk in the rain. I'm from the UK. It rains a lot here. I mean, you know all about that one over in Ireland. Exactly. I want to quickly mention something here, Dagda, because so far in this series, it has been EDG leading by the time we get to the 15-minute mark. We're 45 seconds away from that point. In the regular season, EDG were only behind at 15 in 10% of their games, and LNG have finally found an opportunity to have that lead for themselves. Ale could be caught, though. That's the Heartbreaker out to safety, and he's outside of the range of the Crescent Strike. Here we go, stretching strike from Tarzan. Can we get the coconut bonk? It's not going to happen for now.
Now, they'll be able to back away, but I do want to bring attention back to that stat you just talked about, because like the 10% is 4 games out of the entire split, and EDG now on the back foot. They need to find a way to start playing a style they haven't been used to playing.
Flandre massively losing a trade in the top side there, as LNG are fully grouped up. They want to get themselves this second Herald of the game. They already took the first one. But look at both teams right now, not moving their bot lane at all. Like, it feels like both teams kind of want this Herald, but not really willing to fully commit everything, as Meiko finally starts to move on up. But remember, Icon has Slicing Maelstrom. If EDG opt into a fight here, it's going to be very difficult for them to win. And honestly, Dagda, I'm starting to agree with you that maybe these fights are just not winnable against the Kennen.
It's so difficult. And even look at the build that Icon's going, right? He's going for the, he's not even going for a Mythic. He's going straight for the Zhonya's Hourglass. All he wants to do is survive these team fights, be that front line, and let the rest of his team carry. He understands perfectly what his job is, and it's going to be really, really hard for EDG to try and counteract this.
It's going to be tough indeed, as LNG want to keep us alive in this series. They have a serious gold lead here. 2,500 at 16 minutes. They stopped the recall from Meiko. We'll use the Grand Entrance to try and escape. We'll be able to do so. But still important tempo here for the side of LNG, denying that reset, keeping control of the map, and starting Herald off for themselves.
No real pressure though, so you do need to be a little bit careful here as LNG, right? Because like Scout, he's going to look for a TP here, may actually try and move across, but with Ale actually shoving in that top side, they should be able to, well, they get the tower nicely, but looks like he won't be able to actually get in here as EDG to try and contest this Rift Herald take. Dragon isn't up either, and it feels like with the poke that's happened from Icon on towards that mid lane turret, you can take that next objective for yourself as well and start to get more gold into the hands of LNG.
I'm just thinking back to what happened last game, right? When we saw the early plays from LNG all go a little bit pear-shaped. EDG got pretty far ahead, and we were saying, you know, in solo queue, this would be a GG go next. Well, in this game, it feels a little bit similar, just the other way around, right? Where these early plays have gone the way of LNG. You've got 3 kills on a Viego, who's quite happily able to just 1v1 up in the top side and manage to take a tower with no pressure from the jungler there. Their Herald taken, in fact, both Heralds taken as well. Getting one of the 2 early Drakes. A Mountain Soul could be on the cards for LNG. It's like, how do you ever come back in this one? It feels like we need to see a massive wombo combo or a massive misposition from the side of LNG, and it's going to be Flandre who mispositions Heartbreaker into the tower. Flandre turning it around, tower shots in, and it means that Ale cannot finish the dive off.
But I want to go, like, as you're, like, talking about, you know, all this pressure that LNG had, one of the big things that I noticed from EDG versus WE was EDG sort of panicking when they got behind. It was like, hey, look, we need to make plays happen to come back into this game. And they just forgot basics, like looking out for teleports coming in from the opposition top laner, where he has his available, but Flandre doesn't have his own available. These kind of basic mistakes, and I'm a bit worried now looking at this that EDG might try to overcommit for too many plays. Like, you can see Flandre there trying to be cheeky and steal away one of those Krugs. Well, he ends up giving away his ultimate for it and may actually give his life now.
Ale wants the 1v1 again. He wants number 2, but it's not going to happen. as Flandre just flashes away from the stun. Ale didn't have his Heartbreaker, so didn't want to use his own flash just to force the fight here with the Gore Drinker already finished for Flandre. So we do have kind of a neutral state, but still a huge lead in favor of LNG. And it feels like both teams in this series, Dagda, very happy to play a much more slow, calculated version of League of Legends than what perhaps the audience is used to in the LPL.
I mean, look, we have our bloody teams like Top Esports and, you know, FPX, but there's a lot of teams that are real slow in the LPL now. EDG, RA, I mean, hell, even RNG as well. Like, there's so many teams that just don't have that mantle that people expect from us, and we're getting one of these series now. But we're still seeing a lot of movement, right? Like, LNG are still doing the correct things, which is getting more gold in their pockets by moving Icon bot side now, getting this tower for themselves. You still have this Rift Herald in Tarzan's pocket as well, so he can move across, pop that into the mid lane, look to crack open the third structure for LNG. Like, LNG are still playing smart on this map.
Oh, Meiko's been caught again, but is that Rakan? So he'll dip away. Jiejie trying to contest for the blue buff. Has Smite. And, well, Ale, even though he's playing Viego, is not a jungler, so he does not have Smite. My brain is just not working, apparently. It's going to be a Herald down onto the mid lane. Tier 1. So LNG get themselves their third tower of the game. That's all 3 tier 1s cracked at this point. And EDG, all they've managed to get this game so far is a singular kill and a singular Drake. It's been a difficult road for them so far.
And it doesn't look like it's going to get easier. As we said, like, the composition from LNG does really good against EDG. They needed to get quick off the mark, and unfortunately, the mark kind of shifted before the game really got started as LNG ran away with this now 4th K gold lead. EDG now looking for the plays, but look at where LNG are positioned. They'll be here, ready in time.
Ale is big and scary. Can they finish him off before the rest of his team arrives? The answer is no. They don't even hurt him before the rest of the team arrives. It's Ale winning the trade as Icon looks for the engage. The quickness is beautifully done by Meiko there to deny what Icon was trying to do. Very nicely done. Now Tarzan, though, is just going to walk at them. Who needs to slingshot in when you've just got legs? It's going to be Scout. Bopped around and kept in the fight. Vanguard's Edge used Scout. Still in trouble, though, and Icon finishes the kill. And, well, I feel like there was kind of an anticlimactic fight coming through, but Jiejie's in trouble as well. Moonfall onto 3, onto 4, in fact. But he just doesn't have the damage. Dashes away to the minion wave, trying to clear these minions before he goes down, but he's not able to do it. And it means a tier 2 will fall in the top side.
But this is exactly what I talked about for EDG. When they fall behind in situations like this, it's almost panic. They try to make a play up towards the top side, but they don't actually have vision on LNG to see if they start up the dragon. So when they tried to make this trade across map, LNG just react with the TP from Icon and turn the play back around. And now, screw the dragon, LNG will go for the Baron.
This is the opportunity for LNG to snowball and finish a game out. When we saw them versus FPX, we saw strong early games, and then we saw team fight losses. But this time, they have a composition that can team fight. They have a strong early game, and they have complete control. As we take a look at Ale, literally 1v3ing to start this playoff.
But look at where LNG were positioned, right? They read this beautifully, and EDG try to make this play happen before the dragon spawns. If you wait until dragon spawns, then you can try and 3-man topside, because you know LNG would have committed resources to the bottom half, but they never actually wait, and LNG just TP up, chase him down, and punish EDG for the overextension. Now Ale looking towards Scout as well, because Ale's massive. Like, at this stage, Munch, I don't want to touch that Viego.
Yeah, there's a reason that everyone always talks about Viego being an insane pick right now. It's because you can literally 1v9 if you get a couple of kills. And he has 2 items already alongside his boots. This Ruined King, the only thing he's ruining today is EDG's KDAs, as it's going to be a massive gold lead with Baron in favor of LNG, and now the Siege. The question is, does LNG maintain their lead? We saw them lose it twice versus FPX in their previous series. And hopefully for them, today will be a different story. Perhaps today we'll see the same version of LNG that we saw throughout their playoff miracle run, sieging in the mid lane here. Tarzan goes in, looks for the engage himself. Doesn't quite find the knockups he was looking for, though. It would just be the tower take.
I love how Viper is remembering all the times he's played with Tarzan there, because he was so far back. He was like, I know how Tarzan operates. I know how his mind works. This Zac is over the wall, and he's like way back. It's the rest of EDG that are at risk, but is there anything coming into this? Like, this is where we're looking at LNG with backs against the wall, showing up big. The Zac pick coming out for Tarzan as well has been so strong throughout playoffs, and now we're getting to see that all of LNG coming together. And there's very little EDG can do, right? I mean, how do you try and defend against this?
I mean, Dagda, I'm not going to lie. You're the analyst, not me. So I was hoping you would tell me that. because
I don't got an answer,
because
mate.
I'm struggling to find a way here. Yeah, it feels like EDG. This one does feel like similar to what we saw early on from LNG. They've drafted a composition that just doesn't work into this cannon. They saw that it was going to be a Viego in the top side. They thought they were safe from the cannon. They were very wrong. Lwandy has to use his ultimate here, but Scout's gone too deep. Will just get taken out immediately. And again, EDG trying to force things, but in the meantime, they had a player up at the top side. Why are you trying to fight 4v5 while you're behind? It doesn't make any sense.
I will say that one's kind of on Scout's bad for the position, but Lwandy did get the knock-up and headbutt over the wall, so send Scout tripping into the team, and it looks like EDG might trip out of this game as LNG, they're already on the Nexus turrets.
LNG want to finish this one off strong. They want to end the game. They might not be able to, though. Viper getting some good damage down. Tarzan's still pretty strong. He is that Zac. He's got cell division, so let's not get too worried about him just yet. As LNG move towards this mid lane instead. Wave clear coming through from EDG, though. They will survive, at least for the time being. Lwandy trying to protect himself. The knockup comes through, though. The rest of the team, can they protect their support? Re-engage now from LNG. Slicing Maelstrom out from Icon, but it doesn't do all too much. There's the Moonfall coming up through. No way does EDG actually come back in this game. It can't be possible. Icon gets one. Scout in the back line here, trying to stack up his Aurelia stacks. Light flashes over the wall, keeps himself safe. But Ale is in the back line, and he is shredding through Viper. Kited away from, though. The Rend is stacking up. No way does Viper win the 1v1 against Ale. Turret shot comes in. The Rend isn't there. And the rest of the fight is won by LNG. A valiant effort from EDG in the end. But LNG, they will not lose their miracle run without a fight. They will go down swinging if they even have to go down. It's a game that is the first of many they need to win this series, but it's a confident, dominant game from LNG.
Finally, we get to see the LNG that has been plaguing teams all playoffs long. Getting the counter picks for Icon in the solo lane. Strong jungle counter pick for Tarzan as well, and plowing through with these early skirmishes that are working wonders for them. This was exactly what I wanted from LNG coming into today.
Really beautiful stuff coming out from LNG, and I think a really difficult game for EDG where it did feel like there was a massive draft difference, but also a much clearer game plan from LNG. I think that's one of the key things here, was that it felt like in the early game, LNG knew exactly what they wanted to do. They were operating on that. We saw Tarzan being really proactive on this Zac, and before EDG's composition really could do anything, we saw Tarzan setting Ale up for success. Obviously, we saw the fight go the way of LNG early on that set Ale up with a 3-kill advantage. And at that point, Flandre cannot be your bastion of hope in the top lane against that Viego.
Yeah, there's a couple of big things that stood out to me here, right? The fact that we got Light on the Varus, being able to ban away things like the Ezreal and the Ashe, meant that Light was perfectly fine to be situated on the bottom side by himself. So Lwandy actually got to roam this game and worked with Tarzan to set up these plays on the top side with Icon and Ale. That was one of the big factors we'd been missing for the majority of this series thus far. And as well, I feel kind of sorry for Light. The only time he got involved in these kills was that last fight. He was 0-0-1 when he got into the base of EDG. So him kind of being a null factor, but when the rest of your team is carrying that heavily, you just kind of coast along for the free ride. Because Ale, Icon, they were huge this game.
And that last play as well felt so sad for Viper. We saw him and Ale 1v1ing near the base. Viper didn't actually get his Rend off. I think he died to a red buff or something before he could actually press E. He wasn't even in auto attack range of Ale, so maybe it was minions that killed him, honestly. Bit of a tragedy there for Viper, because if Viper wins that 1v1, if Ale goes down, maybe the game continues for EDG, but they were just too far behind. And very nicely done from LNG to manage to push that one to a victory. And a pretty quick finish, right? When we look at how they got the Baron, I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to just push things over and finish the game off, but finding that opportunity, finding a fight for themselves and just finishing the game off as fast as possible. Really good to see from LNG, because that was one of the things that against FPX they struggled with, right? Getting the lead, then not finishing the game off. LNG come back